Something is happening right now, billions of kilometers away, that no human being has ever survived to witness up close. A storm the size of 2 Earths has been spinning in the exact same spot for longer than any living person has been alive. It has a perfect shape, a shape that should not exist in nature. And the more scientists study it, the less they understand it. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly why Saturn is not the beautiful, peaceful planet you think it is. It is something far more disturbing. But first, quick question before we dive in. Where in the world are you watching this right now? Drop your city in the comments. I genuinely want to know. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Most people think of Saturn and they picture something almost peaceful. Those smooth, golden rings, that soft, pale light. It looks like something out of a painting. And for a long time, that's exactly how we treated it. Beautiful, distant, safe. But here's the thing about Saturn. The more you look, the more wrong it feels. Let's start with something most people don't realize. Saturn is the least dense planet in our entire solar system, less dense than water. If you could somehow find a bathtub large enough, Saturn would float. This isn't a metaphor. This is a physical fact about a planet 11 times wider than Earth. It is, in a very real sense, mostly emptiness wrapped in gas and held together by gravity. And floating inside that emptiness, those famous rings. Now, most people imagine the rings as something solid, like a disc, like glass, but they are not. The rings of Saturn are made of billions of individual pieces, ice, rock, dust, each one on its own private orbit. Some particles are no bigger than a grain of sand, others are the size of a building, and they stretch outward for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, the distance between the Earth and Moon covered in floating ice. And yet, the rings are only about 100 meters thick. 100 meters! For comparison, a 30-story building is about 100 meters tall, so imagine something wider than the entire distance between Earth and the Moon and thinner than a skyscraper. That is what Saturn's rings actually are. But here is the part that should bother you. Those rings are disappearing. Saturn's magnetic field, one of the most powerful in the solar system, is doing something to the ice particles in the rings. It is electrically charging them. Sunlight hits them, radiation hits them, tiny dust from deep space hits them, and the moment a particle gets charged, it stops following its orbit. The magnetic field grabs it and pulls it straight down, into Saturn's atmosphere, into the planet itself. Every single second, thousands of kilograms of ring material rain down into Saturn. Scientists call it ring rain, and it is constant, invisible, relentless. Saturn is consuming itself, eating its own rings from the inside out. At the current rate, the rings will be completely gone within 100 million years. That sounds like a long time, but in cosmic terms, it's tomorrow. Saturn's rings are a temporary feature, a brief moment in geological time, and we happen to be alive during the exact window when they still exist. That alone is strange, but it is not the disturbing part.
Let's talk about the North Pole. If you pull up a real photograph of Saturn taken by the Cassini spacecraft and you zoom into the North Pole, you will see something that stops most people cold the first time they see it. A hexagon. Not a circle. Not a swirling mess of clouds. Not a hurricane. A hexagon. 6 sides, 6 angles, almost geometrically perfect, sitting right on top of a gas giant like someone drew it there with a ruler. This storm has a diameter of around 30,000 kilometers. Earth's entire diameter is about 12,700 kilometers. This hexagon is more than twice the width of our entire planet, and it is rotating, slowly, steadily, consistently, like something mechanical, like something deliberate. We first saw it in 1981. Voyager 1 flew past Saturn and sent back images showing this impossible shape. Scientists assumed it was a glitch, an artifact, some kind of mistake in the data. But then Cassini arrived decades later, and it was still there. Same shape, same size, same location, completely unchanged. On Earth, a powerful hurricane lasts maybe 2 weeks. The most famous storm in the solar system, Jupiter's Great Red Spot, has been shrinking for decades. But Saturn's hexagon has been completely stable for at least 40 years of recorded observation, probably much longer. We simply do not know how old it actually is because we only started looking recently. But the shape is just the surface of this mystery. When Cassini looked deeper, it found that this hexagon is not a flat cloud pattern sitting on top of the atmosphere. It is a tower, a vertical column of rotating gas that extends hundreds of kilometers downward into Saturn's atmosphere, a three-dimensional geometric structure rooted deep inside a gas planet. And when scientists looked upward above the hexagon into the stratosphere, they found something that made even the most experienced planetary scientists pause. A second hexagon, directly above the first one. Perfect match. Same shape, same orientation, as if someone had duplicated the pattern one layer higher and placed it exactly above the original. A multi-story geometric tower inside a planet made entirely of gas. How does this form? The honest answer from NASA and every planetary scientist who has studied it is the same. We do not fully know. We could replicate the shape in a laboratory. If you spin two liquids at different speeds in a container under the right conditions, a hexagonal boundary forms between them. The physics is real, the geometry is reproducible. But the lab experiment explains the shape. It does not explain the stability. It does not explain why this specific storm has not changed in over 40 years. Most scientists believe it is powered by Saturn's internal heat. Saturn radiates more energy outward than it receives from the sun. It generates its own heat from within, some kind of perpetual engine in its core that keeps this storm alive indefinitely. Then there's the color. When Cassini first photographed the hexagon in detail, it was deep blue. Years later, within the same mission, it had changed to a warm golden yellow. The exact same storm, the exact same shape, a completely different color. Scientists believe it is probably seasonal, but no one can say with certainty. And here's the detail that nobody can explain at all. Why does this hexagon only exist at the North Pole? Saturn's South Pole has no hexagon. It has a storm, yes, a large, powerful cyclone, but it is round, normal, what you would expect. The South Pole and North Pole are on the same planet, subject to the same atmosphere, the same physics, the same conditions, and yet only the North Pole has this. Only the North Pole gets the geometry. Only the North Pole gets the tower. Nobody knows why. But hold on, because we have not gotten to the disturbing part yet.
Let's talk about Saturn's magnetic field. Every planet with a magnetic field has one because of something called the dynamo effect. Deep inside the planet, conductive fluid flows. For Saturn, this is metallic hydrogen. Under pressures so extreme that hydrogen itself stops acting like a gas and starts conducting electricity like a metal. This fluid moves, it churns, it swirls, and from that movement, a magnetic field is born. Here is the key part. The fluid moving inside the planet is chaotic, turbulent, irregular. It has no reason to be organized. It has no reason to be symmetrical. Chaos breeds disorder. That is not an opinion. That is the foundational physics behind every magnetic field we have ever studied. And so, every planet's magnetic field reflects that inner chaos. Earth's magnetic poles are tilted about 11 degrees from its rotational axis. Jupiter has a similar deviation. Uranus, Neptune, same thing. Every single planet with a magnetic field shows this tilt, this wobble, this imperfection, because that is what physics predicts. That is what physics demands. Now look at Saturn. Saturn's magnetic field is aligned with its rotational axis to within less than 1/10 of 1 degree, less than 0.1 degrees. It is so close to perfect that when scientists first measured it, they assumed the instruments were malfunctioning. They checked again. They sent different instruments. They approached from different angles, and every time the same result. Saturn's magnetic field is almost perfectly symmetrical, almost perfectly ordered. In a universe that runs on chaos, Saturn has somehow produced perfect stillness from its own turbulent interior. And this is where it gets truly disturbing. Not scary in a science fiction way, scary in a deeper, more unsettling way. This should not be possible, not according to our models, not according to our understanding of dynamo physics. A perfectly aligned magnetic field cannot emerge from a turbulent, chaotic fluid interior. The math says so. The physics says so. Every comparable system we have ever observed says so. And yet, there it is. There are theories. One suggests that a layer of semi-ionized hydrogen somewhere above the metallic core acts like a filter, a smoothing layer that organizes the field before it reaches the surface. It sounds plausible, but it has not been proven. We have never directly observed Saturn's interior. We cannot, not yet. Everything below the upper cloud layers remains completely unknown to us. So here is what we actually know about Saturn. It is devouring its own rings from the inside, and we are watching it happen in slow motion. It has a geometric storm on its north pole that is decades old, three-dimensional, and has an identical twin directly above it, and nobody can explain the stability or the symmetry. And deep inside, in a churning sea of metallic hydrogen, under pressures we cannot recreate and temperatures we cannot survive, something is producing perfect order, mathematical order, geometric order, in a place where physics says only chaos should exist. Saturn does not look like a threat. It looks like a painting. It looks like something gentle, something distant and decorative hanging in the dark. But under that surface, under those rings, under that cold golden light, something is happening that we do not understand and cannot explain. A planet that carries chaos inside and shows the universe a perfect face. That, to me, is the most unsettling thing in the solar system. Not a black hole, not a dying star, a planet we can see with our own eyes on a clear night, a planet children draw in school, a planet with rings so beautiful they show up in every astronomy textbook ever printed. That planet, that one, is doing things that break our models, quietly, consistently, at a distance of over 1 billion kilometers, and it has been doing it longer than our entire civilization has existed. Sleep well. If this video changed the way you see Saturn, share it with someone who still thinks it's just the pretty one with the rings. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe. The next one might make you look at Earth differently too.